Hey, welcome back everybody to the Grand Shamrock Tour. My name is John, and if you found us today, it's because you were looking for a quick and easy way to change the oil on your Honda Transalp. And today we can go ahead and walk you through that. It's going to be really easy. You're just going to need a couple of tools, a 12mm wrench. They have a 64mm oil wrench. You can probably get by with any kind of an adjustable wrench as well. And then a torque wrench if you're really specific about the 22 foot-pounds and 19 foot-pounds for the two critical settings. But I'm going to walk you through those steps, step by step, and we're going to address a couple of the people concerns on the internet that they have over the Honda Transalp, and I might be able to put your mind at rest with a couple of those.
That's great.
So like I said, I went ahead and decided to change my oil myself because it was time for my 600-mile service, and that was really important to me. And I know that the Magnusen-Moss Act of 1975 says that I can do my own oil, I can do my own warranty work, or excuse me, I can do my own service interval work without it affecting my warranty. So that made me feel pretty good. And the fact that the dealership, when I called them, I said, hey, maybe I can get in, we can get in a ride. They said, no, we're a month and a half out on oil changes. A month and a half out on oil changes. I said, well, no, we'll just do it ourselves. And I've done a lot of them in the past, so this is just gonna be a cakewalk for us. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the bike up on the jack. I've already got it warmed up, so it's ready to drop that oil. And I'll get you down there and we'll get to going. Okay, everybody, welcome. We've got the Honda GN4 motor oil, and I like synthetic motor oils, but I'm gonna stick with the GN4 because they do recommend that the clutch pack seems to work pretty good. And this bike, the clutching is just phenomenal on it. So I don't want to make any radical changes right now. The thing about the Honda, this particular motor, is I'm going to do this 600-mile oil change, and I don't have to change my oil again for 8,000 miles. So, you know, that's one of those things that you make that decision and you're going to stick with it for a while. But hey, let's try to get that 8,000 miles in a hurry. That's the way I view it. So I want to address one thing specifically, and that's everybody has their concerns about the way Honda has designed this motor, and it incorporates this very low oil sump. I want to put everybody's minds at rest, and that is that, yeah, this is in a tough spot. It is, but it is part of the overall engine design with this vent sump. It allows the oil to get picked up at a very low point on the bike. It has a large capacity, almost 4 quarts, I think. But the big thing is when the bike is at all kinds of extreme angles, you want that oil to go to a lowest possible point so it doesn't get pushed around either from centrifugal force or just a simple incline, decline you have, especially on an adventure bike or a sport bike, which is used in this, the Hornets on this same engine. The nice thing about this design is it allows the oil to get to the lowest possible point and picked up without interference, so there's less scavenging for oil. So it's really, actually, it's a good thing. And if you think about it, I rode a BMW, one of the R1250 GS's, and it had the 2-cylinder heads sticking out in a very exposed position for, what are we talking, 40 years? So you're gonna wanna protect it anyway. So we're changing this oil. We're going to get our protection on there, but please put your mind at rest. This is not a problem. In fact, it might be one of the things that's better overall for the performance of this motor. Okay, it's as simple. If you've got all the items that I said, the 12mm wrench to pull this drain plug, the oil filter wrench to remove that oil filter, the oil, the filter, and a compression washer or crush washer for the drain plug, you're ready to go. So bike's been to an operating temperature. I've got it at about 120 degrees right now. We're gonna go ahead and pull that 12mm drain plug. Make sure you've got your drain in a good position beforehand. And what I like to do is just keep pressure on that until we are off the threads. And once we've got that, we're ready to go. Okay, I went ahead and used a little
contact cleaner and got the area cleaned up. It's still got a couple of drips in there, but I'm comfortable with how much oil we got out of it. So we're gonna put our new washer and our bolt in. Once I get it started on the threads, I'm gonna go ahead and stop just short of that. Make sure that the area is cleaned up to my satisfaction. And then the drain bolt spec from Honda is 22 foot-pounds. So I am going to use a torque wrench that I have preset for 22 foot-pounds. And I'm going to go ahead and torque this bolt. I wish I could tell you it's a feel thing. It is, but if you have a torque wrench, I recommend it doing it that way because by far the more accurate way of measuring. And so I'm preset. I'm at 22 foot-pounds. And there we go. And I'm very comfortable with that. Okay, what we have to do now is get to the other side of the bike. We're going to move our oil pan over. We're going to cover that exhaust because it's still a little warm. And oil is going to drip over on it because there's just no way of getting around that. And we'll pull the oil filter and we'll get that back on. Then we'll fill it back up and let's go for a ride. I call it the right side of the bike because it's where the dipstick is. And I couldn't figure out why it took so long for that oil to drain when I had the temperature at about 120 degrees. We'll remove that dipstick. Don't be a dipstick. Take the dipstick out. That way you don't have the vacuum that can be formed when it takes longer for the oil to come out. It probably cost me about 4 or 5 minutes, but I was a little distracted. I was probably looking forward to that snack I'm going to have as soon as I'm done getting my oil changed. So I'm going to leave that loose right now. And here we are on this side of the bike. And if you look at this area here where the oil filter is, it's going to be a mess. I just don't think there's any way of getting around. When that comes off, the oil is going to fall all over the exhaust and the oxygen sensors and whatever. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to minimize it. My exhaust is still warm but cool enough to the touch. I'm going to throw a rag over that part of the bike so that we can catch as much as we can and minimize how much oil actually makes contact with some of the other surfaces here. And boy, I'd love to get as little as possible on the bike. And then what I do is I will take a little bit of oil and put it in the filter itself, and which I've already done, and lubricate this contact gasket for the oil filter. And I just like to get a little oil in there. It's not necessary on a wet sump system like this, but it also does no harm. And then what I've done is I just got the one from Walmart. I like it. It works pretty good because it seems to fit really good, and it's made out of that. It's like a manganese material, so it won't rust. And we get it on, and Honda says they put these on with, I believe they say, 1/4 to 3/4 of a turn. So we'll see how much pressure this has received as we take it off. Oh, there you go. It's not bad. Once we get it loose, it probably is in our best interest to try and hand spin it, because what we're going to try and do is as we take it off, tip it, catch as much oil that remains in there as possible. And like I said, off that exhaust as best I can, and there's a lot coming out already. All right, checking the mating surfaces, everything looks like it's in good order there. We take our new filter and we're going to just, well, let's just make sure no oil slips out. Yeah, you can see that oil I put in there didn't, it just completely absorbed by the filter material that's on this. We spin it on till we get contact, and then they say 1/4 to 3/4 of a turn. So I'm going to call it right there. I'm using this as my orientation. There's a 1/2 a turn right there. and that's good enough for me. It does feel like that's a good contact mated surface. I don't think we need to check it with the torque, but all right, after we're fine with the torque on that, we're going to go ahead and just dry off the surface areas, and then using just some contact cleaner, making sure everything's nice and dry and whatever, we're just going to go ahead and clean off anything that could have remained oil wise. All right, that leaves us one more task to do, and that is to put the 3.8 quarts of oil when you're doing a full oil and filter change, 3.8 quarts back in the bike. We put in the close to the amount of oil that we need, 2.8. We got it right there, and then we want to check the oil. The thing about this particular bike is it's not checked on its side stand. It's checked in an upright position. That's kind of difficult if you're by yourself. So I put it on the pit bowl, not the artist, and I'm just going to check the oil to what I have. When you are putting the dipstick back in, you simply seat it to the top of the threads, pull it out, and check against these striations. So here we go. And we are right at the very perfect level. So I'm happy with that. And we'll fire the bike up now and reset the maintenance. All right, so we come over to the function button here. We're going to pull it over to the right. Now that's going to get us to our settings. We're going to go down to service, over to the right, to maintenance, all the way over to the right. And it's going to get us to service and our oil change. So when we get the oil change in, we're going to go distance, and we're going to go, we want the next oil change isn't for 8,000 miles. And then I'm going to put a date in there because I would never let a motorcycle have an oil change less than a year or more than a year. So June 26. And that's it. You can see that's real simple. It is one of those things. Now I'm going to go take it out for a ride and get it kind of warmed up and everything. I will check that oil again, but it's right where it needs to be. And if you enjoy this kind of content, we've got a bunch of stuff coming up. Please like and subscribe. We're really close to hitting a number we're really excited about, 1,000 subscribers here on the Grand Shamrock Tour. I'm done with this one. I'm going to go ahead and start some other projects that my wife has been really begging me to get on, because without luggage, she's carrying my snack. So and on that note, travel safe, and we'll see you out on the road.
Wait for the wind, wait for the night. Stand here a while, take a little time. Since you went away, it came to a halt. Silence is everywhere, and you're not. And now I'm running like there's no tomorrow. My life was on a one-way track. This ain't a story about happy endings. Oh, I could set this world on fire. I could tear this town apart. I tried, but I could never be apart.